All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for joining us today for our Facebook Live session. We appreciate you joining us. And today, our topic is a question that we get asked a lot about. It's all about tips on how to find a job in China. Right? So I get this question a lot from people because they're wanting to know, who should I go through? How should the process work? Where's the best place to look for jobs? What should I look for in a recruiter, a school, anything like that? So that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. But before we get started, just a quick reminder for you, if you're new here to the channel, who is Career China? Well, in a nutshell, just super simply, we help people who want to work in China by connecting them with the right job and then also providing them with services to make the process easy, simple, and safe. So that's just who we are in a nutshell. So before we jump into it, just to let you all know that if ever at any time you have questions or comments regarding this topic, please feel free to put them in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer them if I know the answer. If I don't, I'll be sure to go research it and come back and add that to the comment section here on the video. This video is also going to be recorded and posted live on our YouTube channel and our Facebook page, or excuse me, not live, obviously it's recorded, but after the fact, it'll be posted on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're watching this video with the recording, then you can also be sure to ask any questions that you have because we will be monitoring those questions and coming back and answering them later. So no worries if you're not watching this live. All right? So let's get to it. Hopefully you can read that. How to find a job in China. Big question that we get. So in some ways, it's not that difficult to find a job in China. You could Google ESL jobs in China. You could Google anything like that, and you're going to get a ton of stuff that comes up. So in that way, it's not that hard. But the challenging part is that you're not going to know who you're dealing with. And you're not going to know if they're legit sometimes. And that's the biggest question mark when you're trying to find a job in China. And this is especially true when it comes to the ESL industry because, teaching English in China is actually one of the top job opportunities that you'll find. You'll see those job posts everywhere on a million different job boards and websites out there. But you don't always know who you're dealing with and if the job's legit. So how can you avoid the ESL scams? Because I think that's like the number one question that people have. How do I know it's a good school, a good company? That's one thing. But one of the biggest questions people have is they don't want to get scammed. So what can they do to at least avoid that? Because we've all heard those horror stories about people coming to China. They show up and they're in some rural village. It's not even a real school. They take your passport and basically hold you hostage, making you teach all these classes. I mean, we've all heard those stories. If you've done some research online, you've found those stories for sure. So how do you avoid those scams? There's actually a lot of things you could do. And so here's some of my tips and my advice I tell people. Number one, I would say find a reputable company, recruiter, or an agency who can help you, or just a reputable school too, to make sure that you don't get into one of those scammy situations. And one of the ways you can do this is super simple. Just look them up online. If you find a company, look them up. Try to find their company website. If they're talking about a specific school, try to look up that school. Find out what it is, where it is. Try to get in contact with someone there. They should have some kind of online presence about their recruiting company or about the school that they're hiring for. You should be able to find something online. You should also be able to find some type of social media. In this day and age, most companies will have a Facebook page, other kinds of social media, even Instagram, YouTube, all that. The more reputable ones will have more content on those social channels, and they're going to have more content on their websites. So the more you start looking around, you're going to start to get a feel of who the big companies are and who's actually there to help you. If it's a crappy website that doesn't have any information on it, looks like it hasn't been updated in like 5 years, or there's typos all over it, you might start to get an uneasy feeling of whether or not they're legit. And it's okay to feel that way. I was in your position before. I've been a teacher in China. I found the job online. So did my husband, actually. And, I was doing all of these things trying to find out, are they real or not? If it's a good company, they're going to have good information out there for you. Even if it's a small company, even if it's like 1 or 2 people, if they do a really good job and they care about their candidates, they're going to create a good website and they're going to have good social media with real information. You'll be able to contact them, get questions answered, all that good stuff. So even if it's just a couple people, and if the company doesn't put any effort into helping you with the website or social media, then that's a pretty good sign that they might not be very helpful when it comes to the hiring process or actually getting you to China. So those are red flags in my opinion. You should also be able to reach out to them if ever you have a question, and they should actually answer your question. They shouldn't just beat around the bush or, try to dismiss it and tell you something else or distract you, whatnot. They should answer your questions. They should provide information for you because that's their job, in my opinion. And if they're not doing that, then they're just trying to fill a quota or sign you. And, that's a sign that maybe that's not a great situation for you as a candidate. Another thing is that they should be upfront with you about the job you are applying for and who the school is. I've actually heard this from a number of people, and there's some forums out there where people say this is a big red flag, and there are companies in China who do this. They'll interview you, they'll hire you for a job, but they won't tell you what the job is, where it is, or like who the school is. And in my opinion, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. And you as a candidate, I would never advise someone to sign with a company like that. That's probably, if you take anything out of this Facebook Live today, that's it. If they don't tell you who you're working for, who the school is, and give you contacts, then no, just move on to the next one. You should know exactly the work you're doing and where you're going to be working. It is important for you to trust your recruiter and the company that you're going through. You should feel comfortable at all times that they're answering your questions, they're being honest with you, and actually helping you. If they don't do this, or you don't feel like they're doing this, then just move on. Move to another company. There are so many thousands of jobs in China, and there are a lot of companies who are really good, who are out there helping people. So if you don't feel like you're being helped and you don't trust the company you're working with, just find a different one. Apply for a different job. There's a million of them out there, okay? You should not have to put up with a bad situation. So that's my soapbox on that one. Because I feel bad because I talk to a lot of our candidates that come through for Career China, and they're very frustrated. And they have these questions. They'll want to know this stuff, and they'll say, well, they talked to another recruiter who wouldn't give them this information. And that's not right, okay? So on to the next topic, steps for getting a job in China. So while the process is a little bit different depending on the company you're applying through, overall, there's going to be some similarities in the steps. So I'll just kind of describe some of the processes that we have. First, you'll need to submit your application or a resume. Usually that's online, and then typically that's going to go to a career counselor or some kind of recruiter who's going to screen that information to make sure that you meet the basic requirements for the job, and then they're going to contact you to have a first interview. During that first interview, it's really just a time to get to know you just quickly, make sure you're a real person, let you know that we're a real person or a real company, and just ask some basic questions about your background, your skills, what you're looking for, and why you want to come to China. And it gives you an opportunity to ask some questions. If there's any, big questions that you want to ask. With Career China, we do all of these interviews via Skype. Or Zoom or some other kind of video software. And I know some other companies are like that too. And the reason for that is that we want to see you. We want to get to know you. That's something that's really important in China. It's also one of the reasons in Asia in general, and also China, whenever you do a resume, usually people put their pictures on resumes, which is very strange for people like me who are from the States, because putting your picture on a resume is a no-no over here unless you're like in the acting or modeling industry. But in Asia and China in particular, putting your picture on a resume is the norm. It's the norm. It's a culture where business and personal are kind of blended. They really want to get to know you. They want to make a personal connection with you. And one of the ways to do that is to actually feel like they can see you and get to know you. So that's why we also like to do the video interviews. But it's great for you as a candidate because you also get to see us. You could see that we're real, and we can start to build a relationship, and you can ask questions at any time, and just seeing them and talking with them, sometimes you can get a feel about whether or not you trust them and feel comfortable. So that's the first interview. After you do the first interview, if you pass everything, then typically you'll be asked to do, if it's a teaching job, you'll be asked to do a teaching demo. It doesn't have to be like an actual class. Usually it's only about 5 minutes of you kind of doing like a mock class just to show them your personality, how you conduct yourself, and some of your creativity and like creating activities and stuff like that. Typically, depending on the job you're applying for, we might give you some specific guidelines for how to do your demo. And we have some tips on our website about how to do that too. Sometimes the demo can be recorded and then you would upload it online. Other times you actually have to do the demo live. I know my husband had to do his demo live. This was a few years ago. So it can vary on the school and the job, right? But you should be given some instructions for that. After the demo, depending on the school you're applying for, you might have an additional interview. They might actually connect you with like a hiring manager at the school that wants to ask you some additional questions or talk to you more in depth about the job. At some point, hopefully if everything's gone well, you're going to receive an offer. And then once you receive the offer and you sign it, that's when you would move into the visa process. Because before you come to China, you actually need to get a working visa to make sure you can come and work legally in the country. Overall, this entire process from application, interviewing, getting your visa, and actually coming to China usually takes a few months. It can take upwards of 3 months or so to do this. Most of that time is for the visa. Because that's a time-consuming process. The actual interviewing process and matching you with the job is typically much shorter than that. But just so that you know, that's about how much time it's going to be for you to get everything in order and be able to come to China. It's going to be a few months. Right. Another tip that I like to give people when it comes to getting a job in China and looking for a good partner, a good recruiting agency for you to help you, is that help doesn't end when you sign an offer. You actually need ongoing support. Moving to China is different than any other job you've had. So signing that offer is actually just the beginning. You don't just sign a contract and pack a suitcase and show up in China on your first day of work. There's actually a ton of stuff that goes into it, especially regarding your visa. That can be a time-consuming process with a lot of documents, but also it's preparing you to come to China. Things like, accessing your money, finding out if your bank cards are going to work in China. Also, like, what should you bring, and then helping you when you arrive, getting things like your apartment, your bank account. Because let me tell you, from personal experience, it is totally different to get a bank account in China than it is in the United States. Totally different. Same thing with your SIM card and even renting your apartment and paying your rent. Some people pay their rent on their cell phones with WeChat. So WeChat is a popular app in China that people do everything with. So it's totally different when you move to China. And if you're moving there for a first time, you're going to need some help with these things because it's going to be completely foreign to you. And you don't want to feel confused or lost because that's going to contribute to a negative experience for a lot of people. So you're going to need help with this stuff when you arrive. And a good company and a good school is going to provide you with this help. And I can't emphasize that enough. This is where one of the benefits comes in for using a bigger recruiting agency like Career China, is that, this is what we do every day. We interview people, we sign them, we help them come to China, and then we help them once they arrive. If you're applying for a job directly through a school, there are some benefits to that because you're working directly with that school. But some of the downsides is that, they might not know all these things, how to help you come to China. They might be a new school. You might be one of the first teachers they've ever hired. So they don't know what questions you're going to ask. They don't know how to solve some of your problems. And I actually have a personal example of this, because when I was in China, when I got a job with this, I actually went direct to a school when I applied for a job in China. And I loved the school. It was actually a really big school. They had lots of locations in China and a big headquarters. So I totally trusted them. They were a great group of people. I knew it was legit. When it came down to doing my visa, I remember the feeling I had when I was talking to the girl about it. Because as it turns out, the girl that was processing my visa had never processed a visa in her entire life, her entire career. And no one in the office had either. There was about 10 other people in that support office. All of them were new, and none of them had ever done a visa before. So I have to tell you, I was super worried, and the process was very time-consuming and very, very confusing. There was a lot of back and forth, and I was kind of worried for a while about if there was going to be mistakes happening, because I felt like maybe she didn't know what she was doing. So this is what happens when you go directly to school sometimes. Unless it's a really big school that hires a lot of teachers constantly, you're going to run into situations like this where maybe they don't know how to help you. So that's kind of an advantage of going through more of an agency like us, is we can actually help you with things like this. And likewise, there are some recruiting firms out there that don't provide any of these services either. And to me, that is a red flag of a company you're not going to want to work with, because this is absolutely something that they should help you with. And it's something that you should think about. When you sign that job offer, you still need help. You need a lot of help. And when you get to China, you're going to have questions. You're going to have situations come up. You're going to need ongoing help. So it's not just about getting the job. It's making sure that they're there to help you all through the process. That's going to make your experience so much better. I can't even tell you how much better it's going to make your experience. All right, so let's move on talking to you a little bit about some of the services that you should look for in a company that's helping you, and some of the stuff that we do provide. So for example, at Career China, we want to make the process as easy for you as possible. So we actually have a large team. Gosh, it's a big team. We keep moving offices because we keep hiring more people. But we have a team that consists of local Chinese staff based in Beijing, but we also have a lot of international staff. Myself, we have some other marketing people. We have hiring managers, recruiters, people who are from the UK, Australia, England, all these other countries. And a lot of these people, like myself, are former teachers. So we work at Career China because we know we've been a teacher, so we know how to explain it to people, we know the process, and we can relate to other people who want to be teachers. So our staff consists of Chinese people as well as a lot of international people too. So we've been there, done that, and we're there to help you. We have a number of career counselors that are there to help you find the right job. And they'll tell you, I have a job with First Leap, I have a job with Metin, a job with EF. They'll actually tell you the name of the schools. They'll give you all the information. They'll tell you all about it. We have some videos, cool content, so you are going to know exactly what you're signing up for. And then they'll be able to help you sort of through that process and find the right job in the right city that you're looking for. We also have our own in-house visa team, so you don't have to have an experience like me. When I was with my school, years ago. It was like 3 years ago now. And no one had processed a visa before, so they didn't know how to help me. Our visa team, gosh, we have like 5 or 6 people on the visa team at least, and they process hundreds, if not thousands of visas. So they know what they're doing, and they're there to help you. That's their job. So you can kind of rest assured with that. And then once you arrive, actually, we have Eason and Tony and Michael and some other awesome people who are on our ground service team. And they'll actually pick you up. They will, greet you at the airport. They'll help take you to your hotel, kind of get you situated with your orientation and stuff. And then we also have people that'll help you, give you some advice about apartments, renting an apartment. They'll help you get your cell phone set up. Even help take you to the bank and get your bank account set up, which, like I said, is quite the process. I think when I set up my bank account in China, it took me like 3 or 4 hours. So you're going to want, and it's in Chinese, so you're going to want someone there to help you because there's that language barrier. So we have people on our staff that will actually go with you and help you like set up your bank account. And that's a huge benefit. I can't tell you how helpful that is. So yeah. And then beyond that, we have ongoing events and activities. With Career China. So, for example, this month we have a bunch of people that are coming to orientation, and we're actually having a meet and greet where we're going to give them some information to help them out with their transition, and getting settled in China. And then we're going to have a huge dumpling party where they're going to learn how to make Chinese dumplings, which is an awesome tradition and so tasty. It's a lot of fun. So they're all going to get dirty and be able to like make the actual dumplings by hand, fry them up, eat them. It's a fun experience. It's a good way to be introduced to China and Chinese culture, but they're also going to be able to meet and interact with all the other teachers that are there. So they can immediately start making friends. And that's kind of what we do because we feel like you should feel comfortable during the whole process of coming to China, and you should actually enjoy it. And once you come to China and you arrive, we're there to help you make it smooth and easy and actually help you, so that it's an enjoyable experience. You can tell all your friends and family, and you can look back on it years from now with really fond memories. So that's what we do here at Career China. And that's all of these tips, regardless of who you go through, whether it's a school, an agency, these are things you should be looking for and things that you should consider because it's going to make your experience that much better. All right, so this is what I would tell anyone finding a job in China. Once I post this video, in the comments below, I'm actually going to post a link to some of our hot jobs that we're hiring for right away. So if you are anxious to get the process started, you can just click on that link and you can review the jobs and apply right there. Make it super easy for you. Let's see here. We have Patrick. Oh, awesome. So Patrick says, let me see if I can show his comment here before I move on. Yes, so Patrick is asking about the visa process. Hi, or I'm sorry, Tim. Tim is your first name. So you're going through the process with Career China. It's nice to meet you. And you've been offered a place. And yes, so the visa process, we will help you with that process. There's only so much we can do, and then there's some things that you're going to have to do yourself. Like, for example, you will have to go get copies of your documents. You'll have to get them notarized and authenticated yourself. Our team can't do that, but our team will give you all of the instructions on how to do that and help answer any questions that you have. And every country is a little bit different, and there's different regulations. So my team, the Career China team, has that information, and they'll provide that to you to help you. And then once you have your documents ready, then you will send them to China to our visa team. And then our visa team will help get your work permits and all that kind of stuff processed, and then send back to you in your home country so that you can finish the process. So yeah, our team, Career China team, will help you with that typically. Now, there are a few schools that we work with who actually do have their own visa team and who will actually help, but it's very few. Most of our schools that we work with, we actually do it for them because, well, we know what we're doing, basically. Some of the smaller schools, but there are some of the bigger schools we work with that will do it themselves. So I hope that answers your question, Tim. And thanks so much for asking that. It's a really great question. So like I was saying, I will post some of our hot jobs on the link below. So if you guys are interested in what those are. And lastly, I did want to mention something. Okay, Patrick, it's Metin. It's Metin. I will double check on Metin. That's actually a school I taught at. I will double check if Metin does the visa or if Career China does it. I'm not positive on that one because they are actually a big school. But like I said, when I worked at Metin, Metin processed my visa, and the girl had never done it before. So I will double check with my team, and I will be sure to give you a comment back once I find the answer. All right, thanks for that. So yeah, before I wrap this up, just lastly, I want to share with you guys another resource that you have when you're looking for information about schools in China, jobs in China, and you know, if you want to like reach out to anyone. If you search around online, there's a hashtag called hashtag My Story in China. This is actually Career China's hashtag. We created this last year, when we started, because we wanted to gather all of the experiences from our teachers and our recruits. And we wanted to have them on social media so that everyone knows that they came through Career China, and so that you guys can connect with each other. So if you go online, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram especially, and you use the hashtag My Story in China, you'll be able to see all kinds of content from our teachers, and you'll be able to see them actually going through the experience, teaching at their jobs, and talking about their daily lives in China. And I encourage you to look up this information. You'll find out a lot about them, about their schools, what their daily life is like, and if you want to actually reach out to them and ask them, you know, what's the deal? Ask them what it's like. Ask them what was hard, what was easy, what they would do differently. Ask them what it's like at their job and what they enjoy. I encourage you to do that. And to me, a good recruiting company is very open about that. And we'll tell you at Career China, we are happy to have you talk to our candidates and people at schools that we've placed. So search the hashtag, make some friends, find out what it's like. And if you want, if you see someone who looks like they're having a blast at their job and you love their city, ask them if they need more teachers. I'm sure that if they need teachers, they'd be more than happy to help you in getting you to come on board and come to China and work with them. So definitely reach out to them. And yeah, that's about it for today. So I won't talk your ear off anymore, but I do greatly appreciate you guys listening to this. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Myself, other people on our team, our career counselors, our visa team, we're all here for you. We're all here to help you. And if you have any additional comments or questions and you're watching this recording or you think of something later, feel free to put it in the comments below. I will definitely get back to you. I will research if I don't know the answer, and I'll get back to you on that as well. So thanks a lot, everyone. We hope you have a great weekend, and hopefully we will see you soon in China. All right, take care. Bye.